All right, and we are moving right along because we do have a very important presentation that's coming up from Ms. Patricia De Leon Henry, who is the National Director of the National Social Development Program at the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services. She has oversight for the SEED program at the ministry, and Ms. De Leon Henry has over 15 years experience in the areas of business administration and social protection. She has a passion for entrepreneurship, and this was a key area of focus during her MBA. And so now I want us to put our hands together as we welcome her. And of course, these presentations are under the theme Dollars and Dreams, Innovative Approaches to Financing for MSEs. Let's give a warm welcome to Mrs. De Leon Henry. Let's give a warm welcome.
So, good afternoon again. Yes, so I am Patricia De Leon Henry, and I am the Director of the National Social Development Program with oversight for the SEED program. I want to start by thanking NEDCO for the invitation to the Ministry of Social Development to do a presentation this evening. I have to admit that NEDCO is like that good neighbor. Whenever they have an event, you know you have to come. Right, so that's my relationship with NEDCO. All right, they are doing quite a bit of good work, and we're very happy to be here to be able to support that. So this afternoon, I'm going to speak with you a little bit about the SEED program, and I think that it is timely because I heard some of the questions particularly associated with finding collateral, and if I have no money, how do I start a business? So the Ministry of Social Development, we have our Sowing Empowerment through Entrepreneurial Development Program, SEED. And that program provides financial support to persons who are in difficult social and economic situations. Great, thank you. All right, so the SEED program allows for persons to be able to either establish or expand a micro-enterprise, and also develop some competencies and skills through training, and which will enhance their employment or their self-employment and income generation opportunities. Now, SEED is a grant. It is not a loan, which means that you don't have to repay the funds once you receive it. However, you do have to make very good use of government funds, and we do have our monitoring mechanisms to make sure that that happens. So in terms of qualifying, persons must either be unemployed or underemployed and be a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, who's either, well, they must be at least 18 years and over to be able to apply. And we have what you call a financial eligibility determinant, and that is our standard means test, where we're going to ask for income information from the household to be able to determine if it is you will be eligible for the grant. Now, the SEED grant is up to $15,000 to be able to start or expand your business. It is a non-cash grant. What that means is that we are not going to cut a check to you for $15,000, but we will pay a supplier to either give you goods and equipment for that value. So you'll be required to provide us with a quotation, and we will deal with the supplier once you're approved. We also have training opportunities in the form of, for persons who are interested in getting training for either employment purposes or for the specific business enterprise that you would like to enter. You can get funding up to $7,500. And the training opportunities must be from recognized or accredited institutions. So let's talk about the grant process. Now, I know that when you hear government, you think long, drawn-out process. However, I want to say that, and I heard one of the presenters previously speak about it, when you make the decision to start a business, you have to be invested in it. So that means that whatever particular financing option that you choose to pursue, you have to be able to, one, present your best case which means you need to do your research, find out what are the required documents, and come with those documents. Ensure that when you present yourself for the interview, you are properly attired, you are able to explain the particular business idea. Some of these things tend to, especially when it comes to documentation, tends to delay an application process. So if you are interested in applying for a seed grant and you come to the ministry's offices, we will give you, of course, the preliminary information. We'll give you a checklist. We'll give you all the forms. And we even offer support in terms of completing the application, going through the checklist with you, explaining what's required, and giving you an opportunity to get everything together and come back in. If when we do that, and you come back in, and we require 5 documents, and you come back in with 2, you are delaying the process. So it may take a little longer, because we will continue to work with you, because we want to see you succeed. All right? But in terms of our grant process, the first thing that happens is that we have to undertake our standard means test. Our means test takes into consideration household income. So we are going to ask for income documentation for the persons in the household, all adult members. And I want to clarify, if somebody is unemployed, they will be required to sign a declaration of income. And for those persons who, when you hear the term household, and you get worried because it's like, but I'm living with people, but it's not really, they're not my household. So part of the process is going to be discussing with the officer, explaining, and for us to determine if you are a single person household, or if it is we have to take information from the other persons. So I want to allay any fears that we are just going to count everybody in one. That doesn't happen. Now for children, we would ask, of course, for birth certificates, because they, in most instances, they don't have ID. Now, we have the completion of our seed application form as well as the business plan template. We give you a template because we realize, particularly with some of our target clients, that developing that business plan is sometimes a very daunting task. And we have seen in the past where you give somebody an application form and then you tell them, well, okay, you need to come with a business plan, and then you don't see them after, because they simply don't know what to do. So we have a business plan template, and that will have all of the questions that traditional business plans you would have to answer. And we're just simply asking you to answer the questions. And when you come back in, one of our officers will go through it with you, and where there are deficiencies, we'll work with you to enhance the business plan. So some of the supporting documents, of course, business registration. If at the time of your application you do not have the business registration, we're going to work with you to get the business registration, because we know that, again, we target a particular type of client, and a lot of times persons are very daunted with that business registration exercise. So we try to support as much as possible, even reaching out to our colleagues across at Legal Affairs to provide the necessary support so we can get it done. Training certificates, if you have any product information. Some persons come with very, very novel ideas of products that they are creating, and we ask that you bring the information so that we can review it. All right, and of course your training quotations. A site visit has to be completed. So yes, we need to come and see where you're doing the business, and we need to do a client interview. As it relates to the site visit, persons sometimes ask, do I have to go and rent somewhere? We understand that it's micro-enterprise. So if you're going to be doing, let's say, a catering business and you're starting at your home, we will, of course, come to your home to look at how you have set up or how you plan to set up. Some of the things, especially, and I want to put this out there to persons who are micro-entrepreneurs or who are interested in micro-entrepreneurship, you have to ensure that from day one, you adopt an attitude of compliance in terms of, if you're going to do a food business, then your location has to be clean and positioned in such a way that you would be able to do it effectively. There are requirements and you need to follow it. So we always encourage persons. That could be actually one of the reasons why your grant application can be delayed. Because if we come and we do the site visit, and based on the report, which both the officer and the client have to sign off on, we're going to show you, well, okay, your place is not yet ready from a sanitation and hygiene perspective to be able to do this business. So this is what needs to be done. And as much as possible, we try to work with you to get it done. And then we have, of course, well, the grant recommendation, approval, distribution, and follow-up. So yes, there is a follow-up. So after we give you the money, we don't send you on your merry way and say, well, good luck. No, we want to do follow-ups with you, determine where you are at, determine what additional support is needed. We have had instances where persons have been so successful that we had to refer them to our partners, NEDCO, because with the 15,000 that we provided, they were able to establish their business. It was going well, and it is at the point where they need to expand. So we would have engaged NEDCO to provide them with some additional support. Okay, so some businesses that could apply for a seed grant. It's very broad. And I heard persons mention innovation. I love that word. I love innovation. And now when evaluating seed applications, I'm looking for those innovative, think outside of the box businesses. We have, well, of course, sale of food and drinks, agricultural produce, grocery items, catering, printing services, agriculture, small farming, clothing sales, and design. So we definitely want those persons who are interested in fashion. Spa services, cosmetology, development of educational, inspirational books. We were very pleased to be able to put out and support 2 entrepreneurs this year who would have published books, craft products, and to many, many more. So this brings me to the end of my presentation. I'm just putting this last bit up there. What are you waiting for? Now is the right time, and I want to tell persons there is actually, if you're going to wait on that right moment to establish a business, you won't ever establish a business. You have to do it now. All right, there will be obstacles, but be persistent and don't take no for an answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. De Leon Henry, for the words of encouragement that you share. Remember, this is under the conversation that we're having as it relates to Dollars and Dreams, innovative approaches to financing for MSMEs. And so I want to call our next speaker. Remember, this is under the theme, Dollars and Dreams, Innovative Approaches to Financing for MSMEs. He is a tech ecosystem leader of a Draper Startup House, and he is also a ESG sustainability advocate from the Wharton Business School. He's Wharton Business School trained and a project manager and advisor. Over the last 6 years, he has been working with startups and government agencies, as well as local and multinational corporations. He has led and worked in product teams consisting of Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, software engineers, designers, and management. And so let us put our hands together as we welcome Mr. DARNEL Francois, CEO of Draper House, to discuss Draper House Venture Capital. Let's welcome him.
Hi, good day, everyone. Let's wait in the presentation slide. Yes, so as mentioned, Draper Startup House, it's a global ecosystem in about 28 locations around the world, from Africa to Latin America. And we were privileged to have the ability to spearhead the curriculum development as the ambassadors for the region. It's a unique situation where Tim Draper, he has backed my co-founders, Zude Hewitt and I, and we are here to develop the tech ecosystem in a tangible way. Couple of context before we go into the actual presentation. So we would have, in the last 4 years, built a fintech company, and we have gotten angel investment, venture capital. Actually the first company to get Silicon Valley funding from a company called Plug and Play Tech Center, which is a global company with about couple billion under management. And as she said, it can't take no for answer, right? Because it took us 4 years to get to that point, and then we got to exit. So yeah, I have a little presentation for you all on the different types of funding, and I'll give a little anecdotes in between on what it actually takes to, in a tangible way, really qualify for different types of funding and what you have to go through and how some hoops you have to jump through. Not just the government, you know. I know you like to battle the government, but remember, investors are here to make a return on the investment, so they're taking things into consideration, such as where you're from in the world. Is the Caribbean known for technology? Not really. So they'll go through a finer tooth comb with companies from the Caribbean. These are the realities you have to be aware of, depending on what vertical of business you're in. Versus if you're doing farming or something, you may get, you know, you could kind of see farming and Trinidad, and you know, it's easier to get those type of things. So technology is an uphill battle, but it's progressing, and we're here to, I guess, proliferate that progress. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah, so I already gave that introduction. You go to the next slide. So bootstrapping. So the term came about from literally as, you know, pulling yourself up by a bootstrap. That's when you're in the self-funding stage of your company. So it doesn't have to be technology. It could be selling, channel, whatever the case is. You have a product, you believe in it first. This really just means you're self-funded. The good thing about being bootstrapped is you don't have investors telling you what to do too early. So you can kind of execute your vision early on. And yeah, that's really control. However, you know, people do run out of either finances or they may not have the time, so they need to hire people to help them, and that's where you may want to step away from bootstrapping because, okay, I don't want to burn out my own cash. I have an emergency 6-month fund that I don't want to tap into, and then you might want to explore different funding options. But bootstrapping just simply means you are self-funded, you and your team, and whether it's just technical acumen you're using or a combination of your own savings and whatnot, that's really bootstrapping. So yeah, most entrepreneurs, you want to start here. It's good to show your own traction and your own conviction yourself, right? If you have no skin in the game, then why am I invested in you, basically? You see somebody side of the road pushing a car, you'll help them change a tire, kind of scenario. Right, next slide. So angel investors. So these are typically high net worth individuals, as stated here. They are not in the business of charity. They're giving you money for exchange of equity in your company, which is just on fancy of saying they want a piece of your company for their betting on you, basically. So this could go in the form of checks and coupled with advisory, depending on how far along the person is in their journey and it aligns to your company. There are different ways people get equity in your company. So it's not just cash only. They may have a very strategic, for example, I don't know, a strategic alliance with BP, and your company needs that to make money. And yes, I'm not bringing capital, but I'm bringing relationship capital. So it's not financial capital, but I want 5% of your company for this relationship capital, which could then stand to make you the $2 million once this partnership is signed, and I have the, you know, I have the relationship to get that done, basically, which is something you don't really learn in school well enough. In POB, I wish I learned these things, but relationships really could make or break your business, and I don't know, it can accelerate your life, period, right? But when it comes to business, the right connection will literally could make a millionaire overnight after 5 years of, I don't know, turning in the mud, basically. So angel investors, they write checks, they're already successful, they have the equity or the money, for financial capital, etc., to want to invest into entrepreneurs and set them in the right direction. So that is basically what angel investing is. Yeah, next slide. So venture capitalists. So this is something that is commonly misrepresented. I think people have a Shark Tank kind of idea of venture capital. They just picture idea and they take some company and everything is great after that. So they're actually more aggressive than the angel investors. The angel investor, for example, this lovely young woman in front here, she put her money and capital, she's expecting moderate returns. If I could 2x or 5x my money, that's amazing. So I put in $100,000, if I get 200 in 3 years or so, that's great for me. Venture capitalists is very different. So these people now, you're controlling a fund. So let's say I'm the general partner in the fund, I'll have limited partners. So that table over there, they'll pool together their money. Let's say the fund size is $30 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So 6 of them put $5 million in, and now I may have put $5 million of my own dollars, so now we have $35 million. But they are now looking at me, like, all right, Darnel, you better make a return on my money. So this is something entrepreneurs need to understand, right? So when you go to venture capitalists, they're even extra anal about your details, your traction, your data room, right? Who's your team? What experience do you have in this vertical? Why you're going to be successful? How long have you ever been at it? What is the likelihood of you staying together or breaking up? Because they would get angry at DARNEL if DARNEL stewards the money incorrectly, and then I'll have to answer to them, right? And to have a successful venture fund, you have to return the fund, minimum, right? So worst case scenario, they want to break even, but nobody wants to break even, right? Venture capitalists expect minimum 5x returns, ideally 25x returns, because then we have to split all the money amongst ourselves, and who have 5%, who have 10% returns, etc. So ventures are a bit different in that regard. So a lot of companies may not qualify for venture because your business may not be in an industry that could scale in a way that they want to get the type of returns they're looking for, basically. So if you're making $5 million currently, let's say in a parlor shop, it's very unlikely you're going to just 25x that business in 3 years, right? It costs real estate, it costs inventory, etc. You have to compete in MSEs, PriceMart. You're not going to be able to do that, so they may pass on you. So spray there. Yeah, they may pass on you for that investment round. But angel investor, who's more moderate, may be a good option. Or I don't want to jump to that other speech, NEDCO, so to speak about that. Debt financing is something you may also be inclined to take based on in the industry, and because you need a little loan to get over a bridge round, so that you can keep growing the business. But venture capital is very specific. They're looking for high growth companies. And just to touch on something quickly, because a lot of times people want to know what's the difference between a small business and a startup. So a small business, you can start selling lollies out to your house, and you can start growing moderately, and then you have some guys run a little, I guess, a lolly route for you. That could grow well. You could be laughing, but with the right infrastructure manufacturing, they say you get TTMF grant or whatever, and you get a grant for a facility, you can have a little operation. However, that is still not aggressive growth enough for a venture capitalist. So angel investors, a bank may want to give you a loan and you pay them back and get the interest. So angel investor may be happy to do 3x returns. A venture capitalist will want growth, again, looking at 25x returns. So that's why technology is the most popular sector when you hear venture capitalists, because that has the ability to scale beyond your region. So for example, you have a fintech application. What's a common one, I guess people might know here, WePay, right? The reason why WePay could attract VC funding, this software doesn't require manpower in every single country. The software can run, as you know, simultaneously, kind of in an omnipresent way. So that's why you find software attracts venture capital more easily once there's traction and there's a what you call product market fit. You know, you have traction and people kind of gelling with your product. That's why they attract investment from VCs more easily, because if I give you $10 million, there's a chance this could turn to $100 million in 3 years. It could also go to zero, but that's a chance you take, right? You take a calculated risk. Next slide. Crowdfunding. So this is something that has become more popular in recent times. Actually, give you a funny story. There's a time when we were waiting our exit money from the company, and at the same time, I was trying to get something called an O visa, which is a work visa. It's an outstanding visa, right? So you have to pay an exorbitant fee, but you get access to be paid and tax legally in the United States, and you can live there without coming back, blah, blah, blah. So I actually had to raise, because my lawyer payments was due, and the company didn't process their part of the payout as yet, and the lawyers called me for money. So I actually did a quick GoFundMe for about 2,000 USD, and because my people in my network know exactly what was going on, they're like, yeah, Dan, are you good? Oh, go, I know what you're doing. Kudos to you, keep going. Luckily, I was able to raise a $2,000 round, and I got crowdfunding for a personal venture. So basically, do that on another scale now, where Start Engine and those kind of websites, you have to be charismatic. You have to think about like a social campaign. So it's like a political campaign, basically. You're not going to be just, you put your idea up on the crowdfunding platform, and people just love you. Oh, Deborah, we love your cakes. No, like you have to get them some kind of background story. Your grandmother passed the cake recipe down 3 generations, and I don't know, you find yourself through college. You have to make it sound good, you know. You have to get, like, what is the buy-in story? And that's something, you know, a lot that all these funding sources will rely and hinge upon, right? Your ability to storytell, engage, and captivate the audience, right? There's a reason why people love Burna Boy as the African giant, or we love Marshall as our homegrown boy who's from too young to soca. There's a story. So there's in the startup space and investment space, they call attraction. So what is the traction you're creating with your audience for them to want to support your journey? In the same way, well, like your minister from say, you know, pave your road or whatever the case is, you know. It's the same parallels, you know. I don't want to get too political, right? But there's parallels towards how we look at everything across the board. So crowdfunding, you go online, you put a campaign up, and people could give you $5, they give you $1,000, they give you $100, it depends. And that's a low equity form of getting money. So where the bank may not give you a loan, your friends and family may have given you money already and they tapped out, but you just need a little extra. Again, you put all that in your story on the platform, and they say, all right, you need 50,000 again to get to this big goal, I believe in it. I'll take a chance and put the $1,000 for a low 0.1% in the success story. So that's what the crowdfunding campaign's about. Next slide. Yeah, so in conclusion, without touching on debt equity, because I think that's NEDCO's field, there's a plethora of ways to get money, and the main thing is finding out, okay, what are you good at, first of all, in problem solving, not just a nice to have, or I want to have an app and everybody going to be next Steve Jobs, no. Very unlikely, right? But you can be the best version of yourself in whatever field you're in, so make sure and craft your team, and there's something Draper does, right? We help you with the pitch decks. Who's the founding team? What's your purpose as in the why of the company? What's the problem you're solving? What's the solution? What are the margins on this solution? What's the market size? They call that TAM, so total addressable market. Then you have SUM, the serviceable, attainable market. And then you have the SUM, right, which is serviceable, like obtainable market, what you can actually acquire. So the TAM might be, and if it's lollies, it might be a $1 trillion market globally. However, the attainable market between the Caribbean may only be $2 billion, which is still a large pie. But then what you stand to actually obtain based on your current standing in terms of machinery and whatnot may only be 15 million in your first 2 years, depending on that. But that could grow as you know, your capacity grows. Again, this is where whether NEDCO supports you, or you get a bank loan, or you have a rich uncle, hopefully that you don't know, somebody leave inheritance for you, whatever the funding source is, right? That's how you get to the next step to be able to go through the thing. But the main thing is understanding those mechanics. And I know when the previous conversation, they were talking about advisory from NEDCO. We do the same thing, right? You have a discovery process. So before we even advise you, we have a discovery talk. Okay, so who are you, what you're about, why do you think this is making sense, how long you've been doing this? So then we get a gauge of who you are, and then you know, okay, maybe we can't help you, but you could point it towards NEDCO, debt financing, because you're not ready for equity funding as yet, because they have more stringent demands of you, right? These people looking to make the money. So, you know, but with a grant fund, they have a little more lenience because you may want to grow a sector in particular and that sort of thing. So, yeah, my name is DARNEL Francois. Thanks for my NEDCO talk, and yeah.
Let's put our hands together one more time for Mr. DARNEL Francois. Thank you so much for walking us through the different types of funding. I'm also saying a special good afternoon going out to our viewers and listeners who are joining us online. Remember, we are also streaming live on NEDCO's Facebook page. And I also want to say a special good evening to those of you who were here from since yesterday and your troopers, and you're still with us. Thank you so much for staying here and learning more about financing. And so the next person I want to call on is going to be talking about a small business loan, because that person is a business manager of the NEDCO South branch. He spent over 15 years within the micro and small enterprise, or MSE sector, and has been working with startups and existing businesses, providing them with business financing, entrepreneurial training, business assessment, mentorship, business advisory, and client-focused services that best fit their needs. And so help me to welcome Mr. ANIL SEEPAUL, business manager at the South Office of NEDCO, and we're talking small business loan. Let's welcome him as he comes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and fellow entrepreneur, my name is ANIL SEEPAUL, and I'm the business manager for the NEDCO South branch. I must say a warm and enthusiastic welcome to everyone to the new conference hosted by NEDCO. Today, we are here to explore some of the boundless possibility that lies at the intersection of today's theme, which is Dollars and Dreams, Innovative Approaches to Financing for MSEs. Now, obtaining financing is undeniably one of the most significant hurdles that entrepreneurs encounter on their journey to success. You could read any books, you could go and read any books, look at the challenges. It is one of the most significant challenges that they face. And at NEDCO, we recognize that tenacity and resourcefulness, they are required to secure the necessary cash flow to turn entrepreneurial visions into reality. All right, and at NEDCO, we understand the pulse of the entrepreneurial community. We are fully aware that of the significant challenges entrepreneurs face when seeking funding for their ventures, and we are committed to addressing these challenges head-on. All right, my presentation today will therefore explore NEDCO's entrepreneurial loan financing and our creative loan packages that can bridge the gap between ambitious dreams and accessible funding. All right, so let us embark on this journey of knowledge sharing, of what we've been doing today, collaboration and inspiration as we ignite the flames of entrepreneurial brilliance. Together, we believe, through the clusters and the network you have developed, you are meeting today and have developed, we believe that you can unlock the true potential of dreams, fuel them with strategic financing, and set them on a path to becoming tangible, impactful businesses. So, the NEDCO, we pride ourselves, for those, just for the information, for everyone's information, NEDCO, we pride ourselves in being the entrepreneurial one-stop shop. Just a little history, the National Entrepreneurship Development Company, or NEDCO, was established in 2002, so we have been there for a little while now. NEDCO provides loans and services to start to grow, support the growth of small and micro enterprises in Trinidad and Tobago. NEDCO funding is specifically designed to assist those entrepreneurs who have difficulties in accessing funds from banks or other commercial lending institutions. If we look at the requirements from certain lending institutions, you realize that they just cater for certain people who have the collateral or who would have had established credit rating. So NEDCO, that niche of people, or that group of people that would not be able to access funding from the banks, we would be the ones to cater. Now we go on to as we look at entrepreneurs and the various hats they wear. As you know, as the owner of, and this grid will show you, as the owner of a small business, entrepreneurs wear multiple hats. An entrepreneur will be there to manage sales and production. An entrepreneur, they are there for marketing. They are there for strategy planning. Entrepreneurs are important for you to build your business, that you have good customer service, human resource management, and finance, with finance particularly being the crucial, very crucial for the business survival and success. It is therefore, it's therefore important for entrepreneurs to understand their funding needs and to explore the different financing options. And we would have heard a couple of financing options from the previous presenters too as well. And this is important because it depends on which business model that you have. Choose your business model, your chosen business model, as well as your growth plan for your business. As adequate financing, or adequate finance, it's important because it empowers entrepreneurs to seize the opportunity. It also gives you having sufficient financing to weather challenges and build a strong foundation for your business to thrive. All right, so key element to start a business, I'll just go through it briefly because many of you may have your business already at a different cycle of your business. It's important for you to have a business idea. Ensure that this is something that you're passionate about, you have the skill, there's an opportunity or a need. Ensure that there's a ready market for the product or services that you're interested in venturing into. You're moving from point A to point B, and it's important for everybody, and even in your life plan too as well, if you're moving from point A to point B, you need to have a plan on how you get to point B. Whereas NEDCO, in the past, we used to ask for a business plan, but now what we do is we have this one-on-one session with the entrepreneur where we would obtain all the information that is necessary to get the same information you would have gotten from your business plan. So we sit there and we meet with you, and we no longer ask a business plan as a requirement for obtaining our loan. But we also encourage you, and later on you'll see on this session, we have training sessions which would more or less prepare on how to prepare a business plan. But important, moving for your expansion goals or your startup goals is important for you to have a plan, and we would guide you there. Equally important, a team is important. You need the support, the motivation, and the additional knowledge. I mean, hence the reason why that some people would register as a limited liability. Some may bring in finance, some may bring in knowledge, and it all goes towards making this successful business model. Again, registration could be in the form of a sole trader, a partnership, or a limited liability. Again, to emphasize, it's important for you to have, and that's why we're here, access to capital through some of the means that would have been discussed prior. Now, some of the services at NEDCO, we provide loans up to $250,000 for first-time borrowers, and up to $500,000 for repeat borrowers. Again, I'll go through a list of the requirements. Just because this is our ceiling, it doesn't mean that you'd get this coming in for your first loan with NEDCO. We would look at you, look at where you are, your expansion goals for your business model, and then we work together to determine which is your right financing needs for you. Business advisory service, provisions of business mentorship, advice and guidance. So it's not just about an institution that provides you with financing and leaves you there. We will provide the know-how for you to avoid the pitfalls in when you're operating your business. We are there to ensure that this business is sustainable and successful. And finally, cultivating with your entrepreneurial skills. We have a range of entrepreneurial development workshop that we would also provide as well. Added to this, as I say, we pride ourselves in being the entrepreneurial one-stop shop. We provide mentorship and advice on areas with regards to business registration, business plan, marketing, financial management. There are also workshops on record keeping and cash management. From the stats we have, and a lot of people would have read up as well, businesses fail not because of the business idea, or businesses generally fail because of the management of a business. So you're going there, you're going out into the business world. You want to ensure that you know about your costing and pricing, about your record keeping, and other areas that are essential for you to avoid. Let NEDCO prepare you to avoid these mistakes. We have the Business Accelerator program, as well as we have pre- and post-loan assessment and entrepreneurial relief grant too as well. Now, as I mentioned before, we would have move to the next slide. Yes, part of how we differ from the other lending institutions, what we do is we do something called a pre-loan assessment, where we review our assessment is created. It's centered around the entrepreneur management capabilities to determine if you're ready for a loan. So it's not necessarily approaching NEDCO. Okay. You'd be able to access this funding. We would want to make sure that you are ready for this loan. And after the loan too as well, we would not leave you there. What we do is we encourage what we call a hand-holding relation with our customers. So even after the loan has been granted, what we do is we come around to ensure what was taught at the training session, or things that you could probably do while your business is in operation to improve your business. All right, so we would go to the quickly we go into our NEDCO basic loan requirements: 2 forms of ID, 2 passport size photo, proof of address, business registration, quotations for items that are needed to be purchased for the expansion, so we could fund for equipment, structural upgrade, the purchase of stock. We'll also need bank statement, proof of the business being in operation is important, Board of Inland Revenue certificate, lease or rent agreement where applicable, and proof of contracts if you have any existing contracts. Finally, these are some of our current loan packages we have. So I would have given to you is our standard loan package. These are our current loan package, and we have been getting a lot of good response for the NEDCO vehicle loans, which we are probably one of the only financial institutions out there that provides 100% financing. We also have a bring in the season loan, and we also have the NEDCO CNG eco loans as well. All right. So this is in fact our loans, and as it relates to security and collateral. For a loan up to below 50,000, you need 50% collateral. No equity requirement is required. This 50% could consist of equipment. It's not only cash, you could consider a combination of cash, equipment, and other items that you own. I just have to say. For loans 50 to 250,000, you would need 65% collateral. And for loans over 250 to 500, collateral 65%. And as I said, it's not necessarily cash collateral. You could use assets of the business, the value of the assets of the business, and a combination of things that you own as well. And I would have mentioned to you some of our current promotions. All right, so these are some of, in closing, because I'm over my time right now. These are some of our locations. We have locations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, located in Tobago, North, East, Central, and the South Branch. So in closing, I'd like to thank you all for being a part of this extraordinary event. And I encourage you all to let us embark on this enriching experience with our hearts full of determination and our minds open to new possibilities. I believe, and NEDCO by extension, NEDCO believe that we will build a future where dollars and dreams intertwine seamlessly, propelling our nation entrepreneurs, you that we have out there, to soar to unprecedented heights. So thank you all for being a good.
Mr. SEEPAUL, I know that most of the things, or some I would say rather, wasn't shared, but I hope it can come up in the Q&A that we have now. So any questions we have for Mr. SEEPAUL, now is your chance to ask it. If, yes, we have a question here, the lady in the black and white stripe.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
My question is, once one gets the loan, what is the rate of interest one has to pay back on that loan? And also, if you can expand a wee bit on the entrepreneurial relief grant.
Sure.
And say someone isn't able to really do justice to the help that they've been given. And we do know that some people don't necessarily, even though they're getting help, some people don't necessarily go to the very end of what we hope they would do in terms of filling the business dream.
Sure.
But they've already given that collateral. What happens thereafter? The collateral is taken. What happens?
Sure, Mr. SEEPAUL.
All right, there's a number of questions. I'll start with the interest rate. Is our standard interest rate, it's 8%.
So the interest rate is 8% fixed per annum. It's calculated not on the reducing balance, unlike the banks. It's an add-on rate. So we calculate it upfront, add it on to the principal, and it's divided across the term of the loan. Interest is accrued on a daily basis. Basically, if you repay the loan before maturity, you don't pay the interest that would have been calculated upfront.
Thank you.
The collateral question. There's a collateral
So
question.
the next one is in terms of the entrepreneurial relief grant, if you can expound on that, and the next one thereafter is if somebody doesn't really follow through as they should and manifest their business as they would hope, but collateral has been already provided to NEDCO, what happens thereafter?
Right, so the relief grant was an initiative of the government post the COVID-19 pandemic. NEDCO had undertaken the responsibility of processing and disbursing those grants. At this time, it has been closed off to the public. However, we are still processing applications that would have been submitted during the period. So we still have some portion of funds to disburse, but it's no longer open for persons to submit applications. So that's closed off to the public at this point in time. I know the Honorable Minister did mention when he visited the TIC event a couple of weeks ago that the government, they do have intentions of providing another grant at some point in time, very close or very near in the future. I'm not sure if NEDCO will be part of that particular activity, but we will wait to see. But for now, the entrepreneurial grant has been closed out to the public.
Yeah, regarding your question on collateral, ideally what we would do, we'd meet with the entrepreneur to work out a plan. We look at something called a special payment arrangement with the entrepreneur. Our option is, the best option is to work out in something that would not put the entrepreneur at risk as well as the company. And what we do is work out a plan so that there can be a special payment arrangement. In addition, if there's a second option is something called reschedule as well, where we look at lowering the interest, the installment that the entrepreneurs pay. There are, of course, worst case scenario that we take action to recover. I mean, because we need to recover the funds of the company.
Yeah, thank you very much, John. Okay, I have two quick questions I want to sneak in for our online folks. Quickly, for Darnell. Darnell is still here with us. Darnell, one question for you. Can you kindly share avenues to reach angel investors and venture capitalists? And please share the general process for acquiring these types of investment based on your experience. I'm giving you a minute only, Darnell. I don't know if somebody's...
Do you hear me? Yeah, okay. So there are companies, well, Draper, we are an enabling company. So in terms of finding talent for companies, investors, etc., you can check us out, dshcaricom.com, on Instagram, LinkedIn, myself directly, caricom@draperstartuphouse.com. We can connect you to angel investors via email and that sort of thing. That's what we do, whether it's an online networking event or a direct introduction based on your scenario. Outside of us, like if we didn't exist, literally kind of through networking, friends and family, asking people who work in banks, Aspire Fund Management is a company that does some investments. Yeah, angel investors aren't super popular in the Caribbean, right? We don't have a high appetite for risk as yet, on, depending on the project. But yeah, you can have to network and ask around, basically, outside of these entities like Draper and whatnot. Yeah, I think that's it. On top of my head,
yes,
go about it.
And we will close it there. Thank you so much, Darnell. One question as well for Ms. DeLeon Henry. You mentioned doing site visits and fashion design being a category for grant approvals. What if your clothing items are being manufactured abroad? Are there any limitations in terms of local and foreign elements to one business?
Well, in terms of the abroad aspect, once your supplies, or at least part of your supplies, are sourced locally, we would be able to assist in terms of funding with that. But we can't make international payments. So somebody who's doing fashion design, if they are sourcing some of their material within Trinidad and Tobago and they do qualify, we would take the quotations from the local suppliers.
Nice. And final question quickly to ANIL, Mr. SEEPAUL. Is the Board of Inland Revenue certificate a personal certificate or for the business?
Jim will take this question.
Okay, so it depends on who is applying for the funding. If it's a limited liability, then yes, we require the certificate for the business. If it's in part of a sole trader or partnership, we will require the BIR certificate for the individual who is the owner, who will consider the owner.
Well, let me thank you so much. Of course, thank you to Mr. SEEPAUL, Mr. Francois, and also to Mrs. DeLeon Henry. A round of applause for them, please. Thank you so much, Mr. Thompson. Sure, go ahead quickly.
I just want to go back quickly to a comment I had made previously concerning the grants that the government is planning to disburse to small businesses very near in the future. Yes, so I was advised that NEDCO will be responsible for this processing and disbursing those grants, and I guess when that time comes, the public will be made aware of it.
Thank you so much, Ms. Thompson. All right, one more round of applause. Mr. SEEPAUL, you have to stay. We're giving you a token of appreciation. Thank you so much for coming aboard. And Francois, Mr. Francois, we have a token of appreciation for you. And one more round of applause for our presenters, please.